Hey there, boys and girls, and welcome back to Nerd Chills Podcast for episode 6. We made it to episode 6, so we're only 4 away from 10. I'm super excited about that. Not really, just a little consistency is always a good thing. This is Adam Diaz, as per usual, alongside my co-host, CJ.
We've recorded 3 weeks in a row now, guys. I'm pretty excited. We might actually be able to commit to this.
Right? I think this is actually week 4. We had episode 3, 4, 5, now and 6. We just had to wait a little bit because we recorded episode 3 back in December.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, we got a great show for you guys lined up. We are going to be looking at what we're playing, what we're watching, go over some news. Then we're going to touch on a topic that CJ is going to go ahead and lead tonight because he has done quite a bit of research for the Xbox Scorpio. We are a video game podcast mainly, but we do all entertainment news that is nerdy. But we haven't really talked yet about Xbox Scorpio or some of the cancellations going on the Microsoft side, so it'll be fun to get into that. But just to go ahead and start out, let's go with what we're playing. CJ, you were talking a little bit to me before we started up the recording session. What has you hooked right now?
Oh, I get to go first? All right, so the 2 games that have me hooked, because on my Xbox I just play 1 game, so we're not going to talk about that. On my phone, though, while I'm at work, supposed to be working, I've been playing Pokemon Duel when it wants to work, and Star Wars Force Arena, which has been really, really fun.
Is Force Arena like a MOBA? How does that work? I've been seeing it. I've been seeing the advertisements.
So you take Clash of Clans and then add a character that you control. So basically there's 2 lanes, towers in each lane. Then you have your troops, which are your cards. There's the energy, which is elixir if you're used to Clash Royale. I say Clash of Clans, but I meant Clash Royale. So you have your leader that you control. You can go down one lane with him, send your troops down another, put troops with your leader and push. But then you're also fighting the other person. So it's kind of a little bit more tactical, and you have this really cool, like Star Wars iconic figure doing all of your dirty work for you. And so far I haven't lost. I'm 21-0.
Damn, bro. It sounds like it's going to be my next cell phone addiction because that actually sounds super fucking awesome.
It is a lot of fun. And now I play a lot of these types of games. Like I'm with like 4,000 trophies in Clash Royale. So like I know how to play these games. So the 21-0 doesn't surprise me because I'm still at low levels. We'll see what happens as I get higher. But I mean, I'm stomping. So it's just so much fun.
Nice. That does sound like fun. I'm going to have to jump in there.
Just feels good to stomp.
So next week, expect me to say I am 0-21. And we'll go from there. What else you got? I know you've been doing, I know that Xbox game, the mystery one you mentioned, is most definitely Smite.
Yeah, definitely.
Watching you stream the other night on your channel, which was awesome because I've never really seen Smite up close and personal like that, and you guys were kind of owning everything that existed.
We were winning a lot, and it was really good to actually be able to win multiple games in a row. Like a game like that, it's a restart every single game. Every game is different from the last, and you never know what you're going to get. So being able to win multiple in a row just feels good when you really don't know what's going on.
Nice. I'm going to pick it up and play it. I've been, on my side, I've been playing a little bit of Battlefield 1 here and there, just a couple games with friends. I started Skyrim with my dad. He was a big Skyrim buff. He has that Legendary Edition guide still, and he busted that out. He got the HD remake. We started it up, had to figure out how to go to third-person mode because he prefers to play that way. A little bit freaked out when he was trying to play first-person mode because he just doesn't do well in that, but it was actually kind of fun. We played for about 3 hours. I have a copy at my home, and I actually just installed it. And we'll see. I'm going to start it up and see what happens. Aside from that, I'm going to move to Ocarina of Time and start streaming that soon. I almost did that tonight. But last night, I had a bit of windfall, a little bit of fortune come my way. Robin Grace was able to hook me up with a For Honor closed beta code. I streamed that for about 6 hours between yesterday and today. And that game, I got to tell you guys, it's fucking awesome. I really had my doubts. I thought I was just going to play it and just give you some impressions, and I got super hooked on it. I played until literally from I installed it, aside from sleeping, until they closed the beta this morning. I should say this afternoon. It's really, really fun. You get 3 different factions, Samurai, Knights, and Vikings, and it is a third-person game that plays out a complicated learning curve, and it's kind of hard to describe, but essentially you're third person. You get to, what's the best way to put this? The YouTube listeners will have a video that'll come along with us where you can see some of the, essentially what the combat is in third-person mode. It's similar to a MOBA in the way that you have 3 separate points, so it would be essentially 3 lanes. They play out a little bit differently than a MOBA does, similar to Smite and League of Legends. You have your computer control characters, which are kind of cannon fodder, and there's like 15 to 20 that spawn in waves and push on each. Actually, they only push in the middle. The middle node is B, and it's similar to other conquest games where you want to hold the control points because at a certain point the other team will run out of tickets to respawn with. So it's actually really, really fun. You can develop your character in different ways. You can customize how you want it to load out. There's a bunch of different options. But when you face off against another playable character, there's 3 ways you can have your weapon set: to the right, to the left, or above you. And depending on which arm slot you're swinging from, if they put their weapon there and they're not swinging, they'll block. So combat is very, very technical and complicated. It's definitely not a button masher. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see me getting my ass kicked a little bit and doing a little bit of ass kicking of myself. I actually started out worst player on the worst team, best player on the worst team, worst player on the best team, and then by my 4th game, I was the best player on the best team. So it's really fun, and it does take a little bit to get used to, but it's not a button masher. I mean, you really have to watch your opponent and see what they're doing, and you have to fight in teams. You can't just run off and do whatever you want. So when this comes out is February 14th. Check it out. See if you can see some people streaming it. I'm sure there's going to be an open beta anytime soon. PS4, Xbox, and PC. I actually got my code for PC, which is odd because I normally would prefer to have it on Xbox, but I still had a ton of fun with it. So if you guys get a chance to check that out, definitely do.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it to come out on Xbox. I had a friend tell me about it the other day as well. Just haven't really been able to look at anything. I'll probably go back and watch that little stream you did and check it out from there. I thought it was kind of like I don't know, my buddy explained it to me, and the only thing I thought of was like a Risk type game, but it sounds different.
Yeah, when I read it, the description of it initially, I thought it sounded something completely different than what it is. The storyline looks pretty cool. I remember seeing the 4-minute cinematic that came out at E3 where like the world breaks and then 1,000 years later the clans are still fighting over the land where they found like their first trickle of water. It's a really cool cinematic if you get a chance to check it out. But yeah, it's really fun. I can see myself getting addicted to it. The best way I can describe it is it's like third-person fighting. It plays out like Rainbow Six Siege in the way that you pick your characters, and it's super fun. So that's all I got to say about that. We'll go ahead and move on. What we're watching I put in here because I've been watching a ton of Dragon Ball Super in my downtime. I couldn't stand waiting for Funimation to release more dubbed episodes, so we have a Crunchyroll subscription. Jumped on that. I'm about 20 episodes deep. It's really fun. I like it a whole lot better than GT. It feels a lot like Dragon Ball Z. Yes, I'm a huge nerd. If you were a huge nerd and you liked DBZ back in the day, Dragon Ball Super picks up right where it left off. And if you haven't seen the new movies that have released since then, the first 2 arcs are basically explaining what those movies were. It's like a retelling, but a little bit more in detail. And it's fun, it's funny, and it's a good time. So that's about everything I have. CJ, what have you been watching lately when you're not playing video games?
Literally nothing. I just watched The Office right before I'm about to go to bed, and then I wake up and go to work, and then come home and play video games and watch The Office right before I go to bed. So
Nice.
I've been watching some streams though. I've been watching the Smite Open Bracket stuff, if that counts. It's not necessarily television; it's just more video games because that's pretty much my whole life.
Okay, it's called what we're watching, not what we're playing. So that counts.
Open Bracket has been really, really good. I'm excited for this new Smite season. Yeah, and The Office is always great, so why not watch The Office, right?
I totally agree. There's certain shows that I can always have on in the background and be totally happy with. I can say like, "What'd you do today?" Nothing. It's like, I saw you watched like 14 episodes of How I Met Your Mother. Yeah, I was on in the background. It's like, I just have to have noise there sometimes, and that's something where I can totally do that. That in The League up until like season 5 where it starts to be horrible.
Yeah, you can do that with The League too.
Right. But moving on, we'll look into some entertainment news. And I do say entertainment because it's not just the world of video games this time, although we do start out with that. We'll get some ideas on stuff that's going on, and then we'll move right on into our main topic tonight. One of the big things that was announced this past week was a partnership between Square Enix, the creators of Final Fantasy, amongst other things, and Marvel. They have forged an alliance, and I say forged because it's going to be for an Avengers game that has been announced to come out in 2018. There is a nice little teaser trailer where it shows the weapons of all of the Avengers just sort of laying on the ground. And then, of course, since the Hulk is a weapon, it just shows his glasses laying on the ground.
Yeah.
So Square Enix is using developer Crystal Dynamics of recent fame for Deus Ex Mankind Divided and the Tomb Raider series since it's been rebooted that's been critically acclaimed and, to be honest, fucking awesome.
And beautiful. Just that little teaser trailer alone. It looks like it could just be a movie all in itself.
Yeah, I am really excited for this. It looks really good. The description that accompanied the trailer was really interesting. They said this will, quote, introduce a universe gamers can play in for years to come, end quote. More details on this game and, quote, other projects will be announced in 2018, end quote. So the first thing I wrote down when I saw this, and I knew I had to talk about it with you, was a Marvel gaming universe. Do you think that's what they're going for, and that's why they put that in there? Because, I mean, it seems kind of deliberate.
That's a hard one because there's already two really good universes that they can build off of. And if they're just going to start fresh on a third one, it could flop. So
it seems like a lot to coordinate, and it's like, I wonder if it's going to be its own universe where they can do ultimate storylines or alternate storylines. That would be super cool. I would really love to see that. Most importantly, if they do anything, they just need to have all their games exist within the same universe, and I think that they'll be fine. They don't have to connect things necessarily to TV shows or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But as long as they're all connected, I think it's going to be fucking awesome.
It'll be good as long as the games are connected and you feel like you can either, if it's just one big game or if you can bounce from game to game, bring over save files, like that stuff would be awesome. Create your own hero.
Yeah, oh my god, that would be badass. What I'd really love to see is if they could do a storyline where you play through and then you can play through in a different game on the opposite side. So it's like, yeah, you play through as the Avengers, then the next time the game comes out, it's something where you're playing as one of Thanos' minions or something like that. And you're the one that's setting up all the challenges that the Avengers have to go through, and eventually there's a boss where it's a good guy or something like that. And maybe during the regular game, the first one that comes out, the Avengers game, one of the Avengers is killed, and you're the person who kills him in the next game. Something where they can just change the narrative where it's not always you playing a good guy. Kind of like that Star Wars 13, 17. I forget what the name of that game was, where you were supposed to play like an underground rogue who like had shady dealings in the underworld, and then all of a sudden it got canceled. I was super excited for that because I was like, I love playing as a Jedi, don't get me wrong, but like I want to play as one of the bad guys in that universe sooner or later, and they took it away from us. So
1313, by the way.
1313? Cool.
Yep.
Thank you. I tried to delete it from my memory because the pain was too real. But
I know. It's all right. It was pretty much them trying to get Boba Fett a game, but Boba Fett flops like everything else. So
right. That's because Boba Fett's a fucking loser, and he gets way too much credit for stuff that he never really did.
Yep.
So it's funny because I'm starting to read the Darth Vader comic. I read the first like 6 issues of it, and even in that, I'm just like, Vader's awesome. We all know Vader's awesome. Boba Fett's kind of still just a bitch. I'm waiting for him to do something that's significant, although he does find out for Vader during... never mind, those are spoilers, so go ahead and skip over this for the next 30 seconds if you don't want to hear it.
No, God, take your headphones out.
Okay, I won't say it then. I won't say it for CJ.
Okay.
But if you're going to read a comic book series and you're a fan of Star Wars, highly recommend the Darth Vader series. The ending of the first bunch of 6 is really awesome, and it really makes you want to keep reading. So anyways, moving on. Next piece of news, I call this Resident Evil, A Tale of Two Projects. For very specific reasons. Resident Evil 7 came out this week to what I am calling moderate to good reviews. I've seen some 7s, I've seen some 8s. I don't really trust Metacritic, so I didn't look up the score on there because people could put a 0 or 100 and throw everything off.
Yeah.
But everyone I've talked to that's actually played it is really enjoying it. A couple things here and there that they don't like, but it's really a return to the roots of the franchise with the survival horror aspect of it. It does shift first person, but they say it doesn't really affect it too much because the tone of the game overall is still Resident Evil.
I would like to know what went behind the first-person shift, because like Resident Evil was known for that third-person gameplay.
Right. No, I really do wonder why they switched it to first-person as well. And it's weird to switch to first-person and not have a third-person option available.
Yeah.
But hey, it sounds like it worked. They do say that it's a great starting off point if you've never played a Resident Evil game in the past, because it doesn't really have a whole lot of previous baggage from the series. However, it is Resident Evil 7. They say there's references in the game that Resident Evil fans will notice and understand, and it might actually tie into the storyline. People have been very iffy about telling me whether or not that's the case because they don't want to spoil things, which is nice of them.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. So if you want to jump into that, it sounds like Resident Evil 7. It's a great time to release in January because like nothing else is coming out. There's literally nothing else that came out that same day.
Nothing.
So check that out if you're a survival horror genre fan. And then there's the second part, the Tale of Two Projects. Resident Evil, the final chapter of the movie came out this week, starring Leeloo Dallas Multipass from The Fifth Element, and it is released to horribly poor reviews. It's largely panned across the board on everything I've read. It says skip this one, and considering it's the final chapter, you probably should have just skipped the whole thing. I have never seen a full Resident Evil movie except the first one, which I didn't really enjoy. It came out this weekend and finished in 4th place, grossing $13.8 million.
Split beat it.
Compared to its $40 million budget, so it has quite a ways to go to try and make its money back. In front of it, we have, like CJ just said, Split. This is its 2nd week out now, with grand total of $78 million gross so far. That movie had a budget of $9 million. So it's almost made 9 times what was spent on it in a matter of 14 days.
And it stomped Resident Evil.
What's crazy about it is it's like M. Night Shyamalan kind of became a punchline. And then his previous movie that came out, which I'm blanking on right now, had good critical acclaim. It did fairly well in the theaters. They gave him this one, and it just fucking crushed it. I've heard great things on it. Now, I know CJ doesn't like to do... Have you watched any of the Shyamalans? Like, a lot of the Shyamalan movies, CJ?
Not really. Doesn't really appeal too much to me.
So I'm not going to spoil too much, but what I will say is that it does have a traditional Shyamalan twist at the end. However, what I've heard based off of the Shyamalan movies I've seen, and I've seen them all, the twist connects it to something very important that I think is awesome. If you're going to go ahead and Google it, you'll see the spoiler on there. And it's just, I'm going to try and keep this spoiler free, but the twist at the end of it sounds phenomenal. I can't wait to go see it. I literally was going to skip this one until I read the twist online and spoiled it. And now I'm like, I have to fucking see it.
Back to it, ladies and gentlemen.
Moving right along, it looks like Nintendo has posted a sale up on their website for all their eShops until February 9th, which is a Wednesday. For every Zelda game ever made is 30% off currently. It's funny because when I heard about this, people were complaining that
It's a sick deal.
30% wasn't high enough. And I'm like, you guys are spoiled because of Steam where everything's 75% off. Because I can get like Majora's Mask for like $24 instead of $40 now. So like that's pretty fucking sweet for me. I mean, I already have it, but... So check that out if you have anything. Eurogamer also landed a really good interview with Eiji Aonuma, who is the guy who created Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess, along with Breath of the Wild, which will be coming out soon, where they go over his time spent on the Zelda franchise, and he speaks a little bit about considering making Link female in this version of Zelda, which would have been pretty cool. People might have been pissed off, but who cares?
People would have fucking lost it. It would have been Target all over again.
It would have been. I wish they would have made it a female.
But gamers would have actually fucking
I wish they would have made it
cared.
female and lesbian and black and Jewish.
Boy.
People would have had a fucking meltdown.
And his weapon is a wall. Alrighty then. Folks.
I think you mean his weakness is a wall.
His weakness is a wall.
It's like, God damn it, I need to fight Ganon, but he built this wall around Hyrule Castle.
Oh, man. It is ridiculous. Okay, next on news. Where are we going next, Adam?
Next on news is our final... Let me see. Yep. Next on news is our final piece of news. I toss this in here for the people who are entertainment freaks like me, who like things just, who like things that aren't just video games and TV. Oscar nominations came out. These are, I don't know, interesting to me. I always do a pool for the Oscars to see who's going to win, who's not, and we pick our picks and see who wins and see who gets... you can buy brackets kind of like you can do March Madness, so it's kind of fun. Leading the way for Oscar nomination. Yeah, dude, like you just go in there and you say, like, this is what I think is going to be Best Picture, and then you put confidence into it, and then whoever gets the most right, like you pay $5 for a bracket, and then whoever gets the most right wins.
That's cool.
Anyways, La La Land leading the way with 14 Oscar nominations. It was nominated for just about every category I saw. Haven't seen it yet. Robin Grace keeps trying to pull me to go see this. It's a musical. I don't have anything against musicals. I just haven't had time to go see it. So I took 4 categories here that I found were the most compelling for me. So if not for you, you can go check out the full list at google.com and just Google what obviously you need. If you need me to tell you what that is, you're probably a fucking moron. Best Picture has several nominees. So we have Arrival, Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, Hidden Figures, La La Land, Lion, Manchester by the Sea, and Moonlight. I have seen absolutely none of those, although I thought Arrival really, really looked good. Hacksaw Ridge is really interesting because that was directed by Mel Gibson, who is not a Hollywood favorite anymore, which leads me to my next category, Best Director. Arrival was nominated along with Hacksaw Ridge, so they're giving Mel Gibson a chance to win this again. La La Land, Manchester by the Sea, and Moonlight again. Best Actor, Casey Affleck for Manchester by the Sea, Andrew Garfield from Amazing Spider-Man fame for Hacksaw Ridge, Ryan Gosling, who is the most beautiful human being on the planet for La La Land, Viggo Mortensen for Captain Fantastic, which I have no idea what that is, and Denzel Washington for Fences. And then Best Actress, which really pissed me off, and I put this in here mainly because they did not put Amy Adams from Arrival in here, even though I've heard from everyone that's seen that movie that she completely makes the movie, and it's nominated for Best Picture, but she somehow didn't make it. Natalie Portman for Jackie, Emma Stone for La La Land, Meryl Streep for Whoever the Fuck Cares because they put her in every year, Isabella Huppert for Ellie, and Ruth Negga for Loving. So there you go. Some categories for the Oscars. The Oscars will be hosted on February 26th this year by Jimmy Kimmel. So maybe they'll be funny this year. Probably not, though. I really hope he makes celebrities read mean tweets about themselves live on the air. That would be fantastic because those are my favorite things.
It'd be pretty good. Hacksaw Ridge was really, really good, so I would not be surprised if it wins some awards.
Well, here's the thing. Like, you can say what you want about Mel Gibson because clearly he was a bit unhinged for an excessive amount of time, and he may still be. I don't know. We're not friends anymore. But the dude knows how to make a good fucking movie. Like, they even did a South Park episode where they tried to figure out what was wrong with the Imagination Land series where, they even say, like, say what you want about Mel Gibson, but the son of a bitch understands story structure. That's kind of cool. I need to see Hacksaw Ridge. I've heard good things on it, so... that'll be interesting. I'm going to be really sad because I always watch it regardless of how boring and stupid it is. And they always have that tribute to all the entertainers who passed away.
I know. It's going to be rough.
It's going to be so long. It's going to be rough. And John Hurt just got added to that list. And I absolutely love John Hurt. If you guys don't know who he is, just go to IMDb and put in his name and you'll realize he's in most of your favorite movies. I loved V for Vendetta. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but he's the High Chancellor. And I've watched it so much recently just because of recent events. It just sucks so much to lose so many great celebrities. A couple of them I can think of that I wish would have taken his place. But anyways, that's what we got for entertainment news so far. We hope you guys go ahead and send us some of those top 7 lists. This is the first week since we started where we didn't have a top 7 list. Had a couple people working on them that didn't get them quite completed. I guarantee we'll have them next week, though. So, CJ, did you happen to get one from anyone?
I was not able to get one from anybody, unfortunately, so we'll have to skip a week.
Cocksuckers. That's okay.
I asked multiple people, and I got either no replies or, yeah, I'll do it. And here we are at 10:40 at night with no reply.
Right. I got a top 14 list, which had like 6 GTAs on it. And I was like, no, this needs to be a top 7 and just pick a single game from each franchise to make things easier on you. And they're like, oh, that one guy had Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. And I'm like, whatever. Like, just make it 7. I don't give a shit. So, anyways, moving right along to our main topic of the show, we're going to talk about Xbox Scorpio. So, CJ, you did quite a bit of research this week. What do you got for us?
All right, so a lot of information started kind of circling around that Microsoft, people are calling it leaks, but Microsoft technically was the one who said it all. So I don't know how you can call it a leak if the company who's making it said it themselves.
That's really odd.
But it's just a lot of some more information on the hardware. So they're going with I couldn't find too much information on it, but the one thing that stuck out was they're going with a whole different RAM architecture. Don't really know too much of what that's going to be, but maybe it's going to help with some of the multitasking issues that the Xbox One has. Because like if you try to jump from game to game, and they're pretty decently big games, like if I try to go from Smite to Overwatch, there's some hiccups there. So maybe with the different type of RAM, it's going to be able to jump a little bit better. Also, they did announce and confirm that it's going to be 6 teraflops of GPU power, which is 4 times the power of the Xbox One.
That's insane.
So that's going to be huge. Graphics are going to be amazing. It's going to be able to play beautiful 4K. 4 times the L2 cache, as well as a new type of AMD processor that's supposed to be better than the Jaguar that is in the current consoles. So they're kind of going all out with this thing. It's going to be huge.
When you said you were going to do a whole bunch of research on this, I told myself that I would look a little bit into it, but let you give me all my information tonight. And I did notice that there was a game developer who came out and said that they consider the Xbox Scorpio full-blown next-gen. Based off the power. So that's super exciting.
The people who made Ori the Blind Forest.
That's right. That's who it was.
Yeah, he considers it, like, so far everyone's saying that it's just the continuation of the Xbox One family, but from what I've read and what I can see and what even the game developer said who's developing on it right now, he says it's a true next-gen console. Like, nothing else that's came out in the last 2 years will compare to it, which I think is crazy to think that already going up the hill for a whole nother console.
What I find really interesting is they've come out and said, like, anything that you play on the Xbox One, you'll be able to play on the Xbox Scorpio. It's not a brand new console. But I keep hearing from people who work in the industry that they really think they're going to come out at E3 and be like, they're not going to call it Xbox One Elite or Xbox One Pro. It's just going to be Xbox with a new name, the new console, They're going to have VR capability. They're going to say like Xbox One games are backwards compatible, but the Xbox Scorpio games can't be played on an Xbox One. They
Oh,
did,
for sure.
but they did say previously that games that come out in the future, if they play on Xbox Scorpio, they're going to play on Xbox One. So, this is me getting my hopes up, not based off of what they've said. So it's hard to expect something from a company when they've told you not to. It's like a chick saying like, I'm not looking for a boyfriend, and it's like, why won't you go out with me?
Yeah.
So I'm super excited about it though.
Well, so that leads me to some of my other bullet points. All Xbox One games, including One and 360, are going to be backwards compatible, as well as accessories, which will be nice. So your headsets, your controllers, all the stuff you've invested in the last 2 years on your Xbox One, not going to have any issues.
That'll probably make the price point a little bit easier to swallow, like assuming it's $400-$500.
Yeah. Another thing is there was another in one of the I can't remember the magazine, but they were talking to some other game developers, and they're saying it's a massive upgrade compared to the PS4 Pro. Like the PS4 Pro, I'm not trying to be a Microsoft fanboy here, but the PS4 Pro was kind of a joke.
Yeah, I mean, even the biggest PS4 fanboys I know were so pissed at the end of that conference. They're like, I didn't need this conference. I didn't need this announcement. I don't need the PS4 Pro. And then even when they're like, I have a 4K TV, so it'll be nice to do that and get something that's upscale 4K. I mean, some of them run in true 4K, but to act like it was this big thing, and they had to do it. They had to play that card because, Scorpio was announced. They said it's going to be the most powerful gaming console in the market. And then when PS4 announced the Pro and all of its specs, everyone was just like, it's not going to touch Scorpio. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, it was.
Xbox One S is on the market with a UHD Blu-ray player in it, which was created by Sony, and the Pro doesn't have one in it. It's like, I was just so blown away. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Me up, dude. I just love it.
I get that they're way ahead in this iteration of the console war, and it's like
I think it's getting close to being tied now.
It's still like the year to year is really close. But like since the beginning, like they're still pretty far behind. I think they'll wind up really close to a tie the way PS3 and Xbox 360 did. But it's like it's a reversal of fortune from the PS3 and Xbox 360. Xbox 360 came out and they're like, we're going to give gamers everything they want. And PS3 was like, get a second job. Like a press conference happened where someone from Sony said people will get a second job to pay for a PS3 because that's how great it is. It's like they thumb their nose at people and they spit in everyone's face, and it bit them in the ass. And then what happens the next generation? Microsoft comes out, doesn't say a word about video games in their press conference, and talks about everything Xbox One can do. And like when I was watching it as a Microsoft fan, I was like, I hope it works with my PS4, because it's like, if it's the all-in-one thing that you're promising me to work in my living room, I hope it works with my gaming console, because I have no idea what the fuck I'm going to play on that Xbox One. They had to backpedal. They had to redo everything. Phil Spencer got involved, and, he's taken over, and Phil's fucking amazing. I love Phil Spencer.
He kills it, man.
He does, and he knows what gamers want, so I think he's not going to let us down.
So here's what's awesome. Here's what I'm thinking. What if 2 years ago, everybody at Xbox or Microsoft is sitting in a room going, we really want to release Project Scorpio. We really want to do it. It's not done yet. What if we say we'll release it here? And they're just like, no, we have to come out with the console. So what if they like scrap together this shitty Xbox One and scrap this conference? All the time behind the scenes, they're just putting blood, sweat, and tears into the Scorpio, and it's just gonna blow everybody out of the water.
That would be great. And
how sick would it be if this E3 Xbox just comes like the Xbox of old and just mops up, demolishes Sony, puts them in their place? Just, oh man, it'd be so amazing.
It would be. It would be really nice to see them just walk in and be like, look, like we knew we fucked up, and we kind of lost PS4 versus Xbox One. Like at best we can catch up. So here's our next one, super fucking early, and it's way more powerful than anything that's out there right now. Good luck. Good luck, Sony.
It's going to take fucking Sony 2 years to even come out with a console that'll match it.
See, what's crazy about thinking about that is, and like that's where a lot of people think they're going to go, is when you have a big two and a little brother for the third. So when you have Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo for your third, the third can't try and do what the other two are always doing. And that's why Nintendo's always been that. Like the Wii came out and they're like, we're going to do motion controls. It's going to have 480p graphics at the best when everyone else is trying to get to 720p or 1080p. And it fucking crushed everything. Like the Wii sold so much. Then Wii U comes out. No one knows what the hell it is. They thought the gamepad was an additional controller they could buy. Everyone's like, can I just take that thing with me wherever I go? It's like, no, it's a brand new system. That's the controller for it. They had a huge marketing problem. Now they're coming with the Switch, and they're like, yeah, 720p on the tablet, 1080p on the TV. We're going to have a bunch of first-party support. We're going to try and get third-party support. And then it's like, they don't have to worry about the fact that Microsoft decided to say, hey, we're going to show you how big our dick is and have the most powerful thing on the market. And Nintendo's just like, well, we have 1080p, and that's good enough for us, and we're just going to focus on making Zelda and Mario and Fire Emblem Awakening. And then when you're Sony, you're sitting there, you're like, well, we have good first party support, but now we're stuck in the old generation. It's almost like Nintendo and Xbox are going to move on in 2017, and PlayStation's going to be left there holding its dick. And like, they can do that. They're making tons of fucking money off the PS4. You know, they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But that's not what Sony wants. So it's a brilliant move by Microsoft to just come out there and be like, we're going to release Scorpio. Like, we're not going to tell you what it is till E3. And like, I can't imagine what's going on behind the scenes at Sony right now.
Oh, it's got to be a mess, because there's no way that they're not building something. They're not building a PS4 Pro 2.0. Like, there's something that they're gonna have that's gonna get leaked, something stupid, and they're gonna try to rush it out. And this is where Sony has its collapse. I feel like is they're gonna try to find something to match this console, and it's just not gonna work.
See, there's two things that I have in my mind. Is that if Scorpio gets announced, and then the thing that everyone's expecting to happen comes out, and they say like, you have your Scorpio, here's your price point, maybe $400, because I don't think they want to go for that $500 price point again. The only way that you can have a $500 price point is if it's a system that comes bundled with something. You know, it's not like the Kinect, and there's no peripheral you can bundle an Xbox with unless it's VR. You know,
Yeah.
and there's just no way. There's no way you can have a brand new Scorpio with some sort of VR headset that's not shit, where it's only going to upcharge you an extra $100 for a bundle. So they have to come out at E3 and say, hey, VR is the way of the future. We know that. It's here to stay. We're going to support it. And we've partnered with Oculus. So here's your $400 Xbox Scorpio that's going to be releasing in November, and alongside the $400 Microsoft Oculus that you can also pick up. And it's like, you don't have to have everyone buy both of those together. You can give people the option, which they didn't do with Kinect, where it's like, if you want to do VR, do it through Xbox, because we have a better headset. We have the people who figured this shit out. We have the people who have the best headset on the market. And that would be phenomenal. And then the only thing Sony can do, and from a consumer standpoint, it's so awesome to think about, the only thing Sony can do to catch up or even rival that is to come out and say, hey, we have our PSVR on the market. We have our PS4 Pro. PS5 comes out in 3 years, and the PSVR headset will be completely wireless. Because if they do that shit, if someone comes out with a wireless VR headset where I don't have to have that mess of wires, and regardless of what fucking headset that you have that's a VR monster right now, it's just a ton of wires. If they can do wireless VR, it's fucking like, that's a game changer.
There's no way. I don't think there's any way wireless VR comes out anytime soon.
That's the thing. If they come out and they say, hey, PS5 is going to come out in a few years, by then they're going to hope the technology is caught up. You know what I mean? And then they just invest nothing but fucking research, R&D into trying to get wireless VR. Like, and then if they do that, then Microsoft can be like, yeah, we're doing, like, I guarantee you Oculus is doing it right now. Like, Oculus already released. They're selling units.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Oculus is ahead of the curve. So if Microsoft has partnered with them, Sony's gonna have to build that shit from the ground up themselves.
I know. And it's like them pushing each other into the VR market in the future. Like, next console, maybe 2020. Both have wireless VR headsets. I'm fucking down. And then the Switch, if you look into the patents for the Switch, they patented, like, if you have a phone that you can have VR, you have to get the Gear, which is essentially just an apparatus that you can set your phone into and strap it to your fucking face so you have VR. And cool. Nintendo already patented their own headset that you can put the Switch into, so that you can have
awesome.
Eventual VR, which that would be so fucking awesome to do. And that kind of explains why the dimensions are what they are. It's really, really exciting, and I'm super fucking jacked.
Well, the nice thing, no matter which side of this fence people are going to be on, it's always good for us. Right. I mean, not money-wise, but they're fighting to get our attention. So that's really the nice part. So our next couple points, you kind of touched on them a little bit. Pricing, where do you think it's going to be priced at? $400 doesn't sound too bad. I feel like it all depends. At E3, once they come out with some more specs, it really depends on what they're going to put in it spec-wise. Right. Because if they go huge processor, that's some money right there. Right.
It's kind of crazy to think that this box they're going to release is more powerful than most PCs that you're going to spend $1,000 on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, realistically looking at it, what it can do compared to what a PC with the same specs can do, it would be half price at $500. But there's no way they stay competitive in the market going to another $500 price point. I just don't think they can do it.
But another thing that I saw is Microsoft. There was a post from there was a tweet from one of the Microsoft employees that was saying Microsoft is looking to own all sides of the gaming world, casual and premium. So that's where how do you put a price on premium? Like, right. Where's that going to sit?
One thing I find really interesting is that Phil Spencer actually tweeted a couple days ago, like on the 23rd, and he said that great day, Scorpio update with the team. Played my first games on early Scorpio. Games played great. Console looked right. Proud of the team. So, I know he's just adding to the hype here, but at the same time, it's like games played great. So obviously there's certain things in particular that they're developing specifically for the Scorpio. Console looked right. Proud of the team. It's cool that he's tossing out credit to people in January. It's like he's letting people know like things are looking good. And I don't think that's something he would do if he was worried about falling back on a promise that he made. So it's something that I'm really excited about.
I'm super excited to see the look of the console because I want to see something that goes horizontal again. Is that getting that? No, vertical, right? Yeah, vertical.
Oh, I hate vertical.
I want to see something that goes vertical.
See, my issue with vertical is I can never get it to fit on my entertainment center. I have to put it on the top shelf, and then like my TVs sit low, so it can only have so much space, and it's always covering my actual TV.
Yeah. Oh, another thing. Do they continue with the Xbox One S lineage and put the power brick on the inside, or they give you a power brick?
You know what? Honestly, I know it's a big point of contention for people having a power brick. If it is easier to give me a power brick on the outside, please do that. Like, make my system as powerful on the inside as possible, and if you're worried about how it's going to get powered, that can remain external, especially if it adds heat to the fucking system, because I don't want something overheating on me. And when you put a fucking power supply inside the system, you're just asking for problems.
You just totally changed my mind, because I wanted an internal, but now I want an external, because make this console the best fucking thing you could have ever made.
If there's any real estate within that fucking plastic piece that you're going to seal together, like, please
soak it up.
Exactly. Like, use all that real estate to make that thing scream. Don't make it so that it's like, well, people don't like that big brick on their cord that goes to the wall. It's like we all hide it behind our fucking entertainment centers or our dressers or our laundry baskets or whatever the hell we have to block it. So,
I used to side with you people about this whole power brick thing.
You people.
Now fuck you.
Take that. Okay, you know what? Here's a completely unrelated question I meant to ask you, and I've always meant to ask you. I might have asked you and I forgot because that's how my brain works. But CJ, professional gamer, do you play inverted or uninverted controls?
Uninverted.
Okay, so you can tell that I play inverted because I call it uninverted, and other people call it
normal. I play normal because inverted just seems retarded to me. And even the way my friend tried to explain it to me on why he plays inverted just boggles my fucking mind on how he lives his life this way. So here, let me try to set the mood for you. He decided to one day play inverted and didn't change my settings back. So I go into a online tournament with Call of Duty, and in the first round I'm just running, having a good time. You don't have to look anywhere when you're running. You just do left and right, and you're just looking around. And I see a guy, and I go to shoot, and my fucking controller just goes boop, flies up into the air. Well, not the controller, but my cursor just flies into the air, missing every shot, and I die. And I'm super mad because I had to jump on the guy. He'd have been dead. I never missed a shot otherwise. I turned to him, and I just started screaming uncontrollably. I was so mad. And then at the end of it all, I go, so why do you even play on that? It just makes no sense to me. Up is up and down is down. And he goes, well, if you were being controlled in real life and someone were to push, how did he fucking word it? Oh, if someone were to push on the top of your head, if they were to push down, you would go up if they're pushing on the back of your head. And if they were to push up on your head would go down. So that was his logic on why he uses inverted controls.
Well, here's the thing. Here's my defense on why I do, and here's my logic behind it. So my defense, and I think this is just what you're going to find across the board with people who use inverted, is your big first-person shooter that you first played was GoldenEye. Because GoldenEye, the default was inverted controls. So you just kind of learn based off that, and then everything kind of left it like that with the option to change it to normal. Then by the time normal started being the default, everyone left the option in to switch it back. So I switch it for literally everything. One of my biggest concerns about Breath of the Wild, the Zelda game that's going to be coming out March 3rd, is at the E3 demo, it was normal for the camera, and there was not an option to change it to inverted. And when they asked them if there would be, they said, we don't know. So it's like, I will adapt, but I will be fucking pissed if I have to. That said, my logic behind why I use inverted controls, and I think they just sound normal, is if, like, let's say I walked up to someone to, like, show me inverted controls, and I grabbed the back of their fucking head with a handful of hair, and I gave them a controller, and I was like, okay, for that right analog stick, when you push it forward, I'm going to show you what my arm does. And when they push it forward, I push my arm forward because they'd be looking at the ground. And then when they pulled it backwards, I'd pull their fucking head back and they'd be looking at the sky. And it's just like, that's why it works for me. I don't know how to explain it otherwise. I see the avatar that I am in first person as having a fucking stick hanging out the back of their head. So when I push forward on it, it moves his fucking head forward and he's looking down. And when I push back, it moves his head back and he looks up.
That is basically what my other buddy thinks.
It's
So
just,
I guess maybe the logic is not as dumb as I think, and I just screamed and yelled for no reason.
I will not say it's not dumb, but I will also say very clearly that it's not rare. We're not as rare as left-handed people are, and those people are fucking freaks. That's a 1 in 12 thing.
It's just so weird, though, because up. Why would they call up if you're not meant to go up when you pull up on a fucking joystick, Adam?
Well,
this is
okay,
what confused.
I'm gonna drop.
This is why I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight.
I'm gonna drop you in the cockpit of a jet fighter. I'm gonna say, hey, dude, push the stick up. Like, if you push it up, you know you're gonna go down. And if you're like, hey, dude, like, I'm 50 feet from the ground, I'm like, no, push it up. You'll be fine. You'll be like, do you want me to pull back? It's like, exactly.
This needs to be a whole topic next week.
I know. We're gonna have this as a fucking
Everybody, spam our Twitter, spam our Facebook, spam our email account. What controls do you play? What logic do you have behind it if you have one? If you just do it because your friend does it, you're a fucking coward and you just follow and you can't think for yourself. If you actually have a logic, please let me know, because maybe I just need to change my life.
Yeah, please hit us up and let us know if you're a normal person, we don't need an explanation. If you're an invert, tell us why it makes sense in your head, or agree with me and tell CJ that I'm right. But yeah, that's it for that topic. We're going to bring that back up on a future day and date, though.
That's the other question. We're going to ask you, what is your top 7? What are your controls?
All right, do you play inverted or are you a normal person? So,
the next thing is release date. They said it was going to be holiday 2017 with more information at E3 this year. Are we going to get the correct release date? Are we going to get a pushback? I think that if it doesn't come out this year, they are in trouble.
Well, here's the thing, and I agree with you. If it doesn't come out this year, that they're in trouble. Like, recently, there's been a lot to do, and like, I've been asked multiple times by fans of the show, and by fans I mean critics of the show, that are like Scalebound got canceled. Like, why the fuck didn't you guys talk about that? Like, you guys are Xbox guys, and you didn't talk about Scalebound getting canceled. Like, that game had a full playable demo at E3, and all of a sudden, it's so far away from being completed, and they're hemorrhaging money putting anything into it. It's straight fucking canceled. So, like, the way I look at this is, there's something seriously wrong, and they realized we're just blowing money, we're dumping it into Platinum Games, and they're not going to turn this thing out. Like, it's not going to happen, so we need to fucking cancel it. And I still have Fable Legends in my list of games on my Xbox because I got into that alpha.
I do too.
And I haven't deleted it because that is another game that's first party for Microsoft that was also canceled. And it's like, there was 3 things from the E3 following the announcement of the Xbox One where they pissed in everyone's faces. The E3 where they tried to make it up to people, where they're like, here's all the things that are going to come out. And 3 of those first party games have been canceled at this point. So when you look at the lineup that's coming out, there's stuff like Halo Wars 2, which is going to come out very soon. And then Crackdown 3, no idea when it's coming out. Sea of Thieves, maybe this year. State of Decay 2. You know, they don't have that killer app. They don't have Halo 6 in development. If they do, they might have to announce it at E3 this year. So when I look at that and I say, what the hell is Phil Spencer doing? You know, like, this seems like a big problem that they have so many games getting canceled and everything is third-party support. And the only thing I can think is, there is shit in development. There is shit that they're making, but they're going to announce it to launch side by side with the Scorpio. And then they can say, hey, you can also buy this on your Xbox One, but you can buy the premium version on your Scorpio. Or it's a matter of, you can put it in your fucking disc. Regardless, like, I could have a Scorpio on one TV and an Xbox One on the other, and I could use the same disc. That would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They've already set it up for gold with this Microsoft Everywhere thing. I bought Gears of War 4 off of G2A at a discounted price for my PC, and it lets me play it on my Xbox One because I own it. And you have one Microsoft game, it works everywhere. So you buy a Scorpio, you buy the premium edition of your game. You also get it on PC. You also get it on your Xbox One. Like, they've already paved the way to let you play one game wherever you want.
And if you guys are wondering, for the Play Anywhere, Xbox Play Anywhere is essentially anything that you have that's a Microsoft device. There's certain games that have it enabled where you can play it on anything. You can play it on a Surface tablet, any PC with Windows 10, and your Xbox. And that's fucking awesome. And I have a list right here in front of me of the Xbox Play Anywhere games, because there's not a ton. I mean, but the more that come out going forward, the more there's going to be. And that list is Gears of War 4, like CJ said. You can play Killer Instinct Seasons 1, 2, and 3. Forza Horizon 3. Recore. Cuphead, whenever that comes out. Astroneer. The Culling. Everspace. Ark Survival Evolved. Sea of Thieves eventually when it comes out. State of Decay 2 when it comes out. Halo Wars 2 when it comes out. We Happy Few, and Crackdown 3.
Yeah.
So it's like, those are big titles.
Like all their future games, they're poising to do this Play Anywhere, and that's huge. To only have to buy one game and play it on possibly three different platforms.
It would be so nice if we could do that for just Xbox Live shit, because like I get a lot of stuff through Xbox Live because I'm like, it'll be 2 or 3 hours. I can just blow through it. It costs me $5. And there's so many days I spend in my office where I'm like, I could be in the loft, but I'd have to be away from where I need to be. But I kind of want to take a break at the same time. Like I could just go ahead and pop something up on my computer and just play it. Or I could be literally at work with my laptop, my personal laptop, and on lunch break, play Gears of War 4. I could do that right now. You know, and that's something PS4 doesn't offer. Like, it's already available through Microsoft.
Yep. So it's huge. Okay, next thing. Let's move on. We have launch titles. So another thing we were kind of talking about that. What are we going to see launch E3? I think they're going to announce, there wasn't a Halo last year, so there's going to be a Halo this year. Like 100% guaranteed.
Do you think it's going to be like an ODST or a Reach type rather than Halo 6?
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Halo 6.
Right on.
But then again, that would end their trilogy pretty quick.
Right, that's true.
So it's got to be something big in the actual Halo universe. Like Halo Wars in early February is huge. People have wanted that game forever. They had the achievement if you beat the game. I can't remember what it was called. It was sequel ? It's like they set it up. They knew it was going to happen. Microsoft finally comes out with it. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, a Reach remake would be cool, but it's going to launch with it. It's going to be a full 4K game.
Right.
It's going to look beautiful. It's going to play amazing.
What else do you think?
Some type of Forza game. The new Forza will launch with it. Then they have to bring it all around with another type of like sport game. So like I wouldn't be surprised if they give a Madden on it. FIFA rides the fence a little bit, so I don't think FIFA's too Xbox side, but Madden is super huge on the Xbox.
Right.
So I could see a Madden launching for it, or they might just come out with a bunch of new stuff.
See, when I look at these games that are Xbox Play Anywhere, it's like Crackdown 3 makes the most sense to me because that's the one they said would be very heavily influenced by cloud computing. Because back in the day when they said like they're trying to pitch that during their whole piss in your face press conference, where it's like, no, you guys understand, like by being always online, this enables us to do so much more.
Yeah.
But they drilled that shit in your head where it's like, but you can't play a used game, you know. So everyone's like, I don't want it. I don't care what else it can do. I don't care what worlds it opens up. I don't want it. But when I look at Crackdown 3 with something that has like the technical specs through the fucking roof, it would make the most sense for me for that game to be an Xbox Scorpio game.
And then my last bullet point would be, does it launch with VR?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard. I mean, Oculus came out with Touch, and they say it's the best it's the best controller that you can accompany a VR headset with.
Yeah.
But the price points on these things are extremely high. I don't know what voodoo Phil Spencer is going to work to try and get a VR headset on this Xbox Scorpio. And it makes me wonder if it'll be compatible with Xbox One, similar to how PS4 and PS4 Pro can play the PSVR headset. So, I don't know. Bold prediction time. CJ, does it come out with VR?
I say yes. I say there's no way they missed that opportunity. And to be honest, who gives a fuck if it works with my Xbox One? I'm buying this premium console. I'm going to spend my money on it so that way I can do things better than what my Xbox One does, what a PS4 does, what a PS4 Pro does, almost better than what my computer can do.
Right.
So I wouldn't want them to be like, well, we could make this VR ready, but if we have to consider the Xbox One, we'll just water down the VR and make it some stupid little, the Samsung Gear. Samsung Gear is great, but it's
It's the junior version of VR.
Yeah, it's like it's a watered down version of VR. Like PS4's VR is really nice. I wouldn't want them to have to water it down to make it work on my Xbox One. If you want to keep an Xbox One and keep it casual, play all the same games I can play, that's fine. If you want to go into a true next gen console, be ready to pay and be ready to actually experience something that is next generation, because the consoles might be next gen, the games aren't. I could play the same game on my Xbox 360. I can guarantee you someone could port it back for me. So that doesn't really surprise me. Next gen to me is VR.
I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. For clarification, for my sake, so I can hold you accountable for it and yell at you later if you're wrong.
Okay.
Are you saying it will come out with VR eventually, or it'll come out day and date with a VR headset?
Day and date with a VR headset.
Okay. I'm going to make my bold prediction by being a bitch about it and saying that at E3 they'll announce Scorpio, price point, launch date, Scorpio's accompanying headset, which will launch Q1 2018. That's what I think they'll do. But I think when it gets closer to Scorpio coming out, then I think they separate it so that they can make sure it works perfectly, and you can have a big money dump Q4 2017, Q1 2018. That way some people don't have to feel like, well, they have this VR headset that I can't afford because that's $400 and so is a Scorpio. So I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense to anyone out there, but that's kind of what I think strategically they would do.
I get it marketing and money wise, but at the same time, there's not going to be a million Scorpios and a million VR headsets available at once. So if you just launch them side by side, let the true Xbox people buy them, because that's who's going to buy them. There's no way Timmy is going to fucking get off the bus Monday morning and go buy himself a goddamn Xbox Scorpio and a headset.
Right.
He ain't talking his mommy into that. It's going to be some actual working guy who has got his money and is ready to play some Xbox One titles in VR, call in the next day. It's going to be that type of person. So if they just let those people buy it, I hate to use this word, but test it, because they're not going to like beta test it and then slowly fix things, because that's how it all has to go. I would rather have something in my hands, be frustrated that it doesn't work correctly, but be happy that it's in my hands, because Scalebound, I wanted to play that game so bad. It was so cool, and I never got to touch it, and it's gone. Just like that. I totally
agree with you on that, and it's the perfect example, like little game called Pokemon Go. That game released, and everyone in the world was playing it. Like, and I say that, and I mean it. And if you sit down and you look at that game by yourself and act like no one else in the world exists except for the people who made the game, and you look at it and it releases to you and only you might think it's fun, but you're also going to be like, hey, this shit's fucking broken. Like, if you had the same experience you had when the game launched, it was like, okay, I see what the purpose is. This looks really cool. Can't do gym battles for the first couple weeks because it keeps freezing. Every time I try and catch a Pokemon, it escapes, or my ball doesn't go where it needs to go, or every flying Pokemon can't be caught. The game had so many problems. It was literally almost unplayable. And at times, it literally was unplayable because you couldn't get in because the servers were completely down. Obviously, they didn't expect for it to be received the way it was, but that's what happened. And it still was something everyone wanted. And even though like 90% of the people playing it fell off, they still make over $1 million a day off that game. So they released it. They gave you something that wasn't quite finished so that they could see how well it would be received and adjust accordingly. Same thing with a VR headset. Like, put it in your hands, have firmware updates so that you can get things working perfectly. Like, the VR experience on PlayStation right now isn't perfect. I do have issues with it here and there. I described it last episode where I said like the centering kind of just veers off to the left, and it affected my experience in a very fun game that I might have purchased had it not happened. So if I go back into that game and it says, oh, we updated this firmware update to your headset, all of a sudden it works, I'll probably buy that game.
Yeah. Plus it also makes us feel like it also gives you that satisfaction of, once again, Xbox is listening to you. If there's a million people that are complaining about a game not centering correctly and they fix it, then somebody somewhere got to them and they're like, oh, we should probably fix this real quick. Let me press a couple buttons. Boom, it's done.
Like, let me just adjust your ability to center your headset, which, is supposed to work across the board and for whatever reason is disabled.
So our bold predictions, just to wrap this up, is that I think it is going to be launching with VR, and Adam thinks it's going to be launching without VR.
Correct.
Hopefully somebody out there listening is keeping track of this.
I keep track of all these things in my head. And if you wind up being wrong, I bring them up, and if I wind up being wrong, it never happens. So.
Oh, I bring them up. Don't worry.
Okay. So whoever's watching out for that stuff.
So we got each other's back.
Or don't talk to CJ if I'm wrong.
I'll remember if you're wrong. I wake up the next morning after it all happens and I go, Adam was fucking wrong.
Really?
I got him. I can't wait to talk to him again.
I wake up the exact same way. Like the other day, my boss was like, "Hey, make sure you send that email to me with the numbers at the end of the night." And I was like, "Cool." And I pulled all the numbers. I got all the data. I formatted it. It looked super pretty. I put everyone's email address in that I had to send it to. And then I woke up the next day at 4 a.m. and I was like, I never hit send. Motherfucker. So I feel like everyone just sort of wakes up and is like, Adam was wrong.
Adam fucked up somehow.
Adam fucked up. I literally woke up and I was like, God damn it, Diaz. Like, you're better than this.
That's all right. One time I had to send my hours in for my time card, and I sent it secure, so it didn't actually send, because when you hit send, it says, are you sure? So I just hit send and then walked out the door. So my hours were off by like 30.
Oh my God.
So I got paid like for 10 hours of work. It was bad.
If my employees were capable of giving me perfect timesheets, and I have 7, I technically have 12 that I'm watching over, but I have 7 that directly belong to my team. If they could give me 2 weeks of flawless punch-ins and punch-outs, I would buy them pizza. I've had them as my team for 19 months. So figure out how many pay periods
Adam's
that is.
You're listening. I know you are, because he probably makes you because he's your boss.
There's at least 2 of them that I know that I've asked to download this. So one of them who actually listens to it.
Let's make it fucking happen. Like, everyone clock in at a decent time so we can make this son of a bitch buy you some pizza.
They'll never do it. Like, they'll try. But that's the thing. That's why I don't offer it up to them when I'm there, because I know if I tell them, like, hey guys, like, free pizza if we can get perfect timesheets for a pay period. Because the first person who fucks it up, like, they're going to beat that person to death with fucking doorknobs and socks. And I don't want to be the one who inspired that shit, you know? So, like, I went into work Wednesday, I believe it was, and a couple people there had listened to the episode, and I really appreciate everyone's support. It's fucking great. Thank you for everything you guys do and how you're retweeting it. It's giving us lots of downloads, and I really appreciate it. And someone said, hey, bro, you said if you love something, set it free. And if it is meant to be, it'll come back to you. Like, let me hear you say that again. I'm like, let me hear you say that again. Like, he didn't like that I said it. And I was like, well, I'm going to say it on the next episode because fuck you. That's why. So if he's listening right now, boom, I just did it again. So nothing you can do about it.
There we go.
What about this week, CJ? What are you going to be doing this week? Are you doing any streaming of Smite or anything like that?
Tuesday and Wednesday, I plan to stream a bunch of Smite. Those are my days off once again. So I plan to sit down and grind out some Smite, make myself a little bit better, as well as maybe stream some other stuff. So stop by. I'm also going to try to get a couple things loaded up to the YouTube with Adam's help.
Absolutely.
And try to grow this a little bit. Let's get big.
Right.
Adam, how many downloads did we have last week?
Last week we had... Let's just bring up the numbers right now. Fuck it.
Let's do it. See, I love asking Adam the numbers because we always fight over which states are getting the most downloads. So we're about to hear which state is on top. And if you don't hear your state called, you better step the fuck up.
Right? You're not helping that much. I will say that the stats for this, we are obviously hosted on Libsyn, like just about every podcast on the planet. It's weird because some days it'll say we got 0 downloads. Then as soon as midnight hits, it comes in and it's like, you had 26 downloads for this day. And it's like, this day is 1 minute old. How the fuck did that happen? So it's a little bit up and down. So we really appreciate everyone sharing it. It's really cool to see. Our number 1 state for last episode was Indiana, followed by Nevada, Illinois, California, and Virginia. However, we had 7 downloads that didn't register to a state. So that could have been Missouri, or who knows?
Who knows?
We have been getting downloads as well from Texas, Minnesota, and West Virginia. So we really appreciate the support all across the country. You guys are great. Friends, family, whoever's downloading, whether or not you know us personally, we really, really appreciate you guys listening. Seriously, email us at nerdchillsgaming@gmail.com. You can tweet at me, the Adam Diaz. You can watch my streams on Twitch, MAYLUM. CJ, where can all the fine folks find you?
They can find me at Sacred Infinity. That's Twitter handle. Sorry, this is all hard for me. I don't do a lot of social media. Then they can also find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Sacred Infinity. And then, yeah, that's it. Those are the only 2 places you can find me unless you want to come hang out at my house, I guess.
And I will say this past week was really great. We have our Facebook channel up. So it's facebook.com/nerdchillspodcast. We had a good conversation going on there about some of the stuff that was commented on. A lot of people gave props to Robin Grace for her excellent cell phone game knowledge, stuff like that. So please come join that group and let us know any topics you want to hear us discuss, any thoughts that you have. Post your top 7, whatever you might want to do on that, because it's really fun. Our YouTube channel, this will be the first official episode where we have an accompanying video on the YouTube channel that people can go and listen to. It will not have video of me and CJ, because honestly, when I record, I look like absolute dog shit, and I usually don't wear a shirt. I don't know how about you, CJ, but we will be able to post basically the audio with our logo in the background, and then anytime we talk about something interesting, we can have stills or gameplay, as long as it doesn't have any sort of non-disclosure agreement attached to it. So I'll have some stuff up there for Honor, so you guys can kind of see how the game plays out while I'm describing it terribly.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I want to try to get everything coming off the ground. I want to let's push for 100 downloads next episode.
100. If we get 100 downloads next episode, I'll buy everyone pizza. How's that sound? Everyone that downloads
this. I'm going to throw it everywhere. I know where to put this.
Everyone that downloads it and emails me at nerdchillsgaming@gmail.com, I'll buy pizza for. There you go. Like, that's a promise from me to you. That's a bribe from me to you.
All right.
So we usually record on Sunday or Monday, ladies and gentlemen. So we release typically on Tuesday, if not Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. So you can always expect us around that time. So next week on the podcast, we're going to have a very special guest. It's a sound designer. She works for Riot, and I don't know if you know this, but they work on a little game called League of Legends, which is only like the biggest game in the world. She is, and I quote, a total badass in all regards. She's been really, really kind. She's been talking to me back and forth here, scheduling a day she can come on the podcast. I told her we can do an interview straightforward, or she can have a full guest appearance on the show where she can go over everything. I wasn't sure how much she's into games, and she was like, oh, I'm a big gamer, so I'd be happy to sit in there for all that. She's going to be on the show, so we're looking very much forward to it. We hope you guys download this episode. If you had a good time, please come back next episode. Tell your friends, like, hey, they got a sound designer from League of Legends coming on the next episode. You should probably listen to that, because I'm really, really excited for that interview. So that's about everything we got for this episode 6. CJ, you got anything for the peoples?
Don't have anything else to add. Here's our cool outro for the week. Take a chill pill, people. We'll see you next week.